Today on the list, the Grammy-winning album turning 50, the truth about flipping houses, and fabulous lessons of confidence from a queen.
You gotta be okay on the inside before you show this outside glamorous piece to the world.
Plus, common email mistakes we all make.
If you don't have a grip on your inbox, you're wasting hours and hours a week.
But up first, the tiny detectives helping solve crimes. It's your life, it's your list, and it starts right now.
Hey everyone, I'm Christina Guerrero.
And I'm Jimmy Rhodes. And you know, KG, our show is not where people turn for death and mayhem.
No, we're usually the exact opposite. But you know, with the popularity of true crime shows and podcasts, the way murders are solved has become fascinating information.
True. So when we heard about how tiny insects called blowflies are being used to help catch a killer, well, we wanted to know more.
Teresa Strasser shows us how they help answer important questions. And that's our featured story at the top of the list.
When detectives arrive at a murder scene, they have questions. When and how did it happen? Was the body moved? The answers could come from this insect, the blowfly. We spoke with Dr. Jonathan Parrott, assistant professor in forensic science at Arizona State University. He explains how these bugs help book murder suspects. First, what are blowflies?
They are typically associated with either cases of neglect or forensic crime scenes.
Blowflies are attracted to dead animals. They can arrive at a murder scene as soon as 10 minutes after the death occurred. They quickly lay eggs that hatch into maggots, which consume and break down the corpse. This lab analyzes that life cycle.
When we collect blowflies from outside, we bring them back to the lab, and if we keep them alive, we want to keep them in controlled environments.
Incubators control the temperature and humidity as lab techs measure the fly's development. They also analyze the bug's DNA and enter it into a database.
From that then creates more accurate and precise methods that can be used in a court of law.
Next, let's look at how blowflies can help solve crimes. Jonathan's team catches blowflies with bait traps.
We use liver that you would buy at a grocery store.
Certain species of blowflies live in different regions and have varying life cycles. Jonathan's team is cataloging which flies live where. He started in Arizona, but now he's expanding.
In particular in California, Utah, and Nevada.
Flies' life cycles help determine the time of death.
Can then use published data to determine a minimum post-mortem interval or time of colonization and back calculate for an estimation of time of death.
Let's say a fly's lifespan is 15 to 30 days, and it takes 5 days to grow from an egg to a maggot. Maggots could prove a body has been there for 5 days.
If you have a crime scene inside versus outside, it's a very different situation.
Blowfly analysis can also show where a body has been and if someone tried to cover up evidence.
If the individual has been concealed or if any actions have been taken to disturb the crime scenes.
They're 2/3 of the way through building this new blowfly database. Past analyses involved breeding insects to evaluate their age, but this lab digs deeper.
We're trying to use the actual DNA and RNA to give us that estimation. So that would be a much more accurate and precise.
Jonathan says his students have been a huge help.
And a lot of my students volunteer in my lab even when they don't have to.
An exciting new blowfly database that could bring more criminals to justice is at the top of the list.
Okay, friends, we're going to make a quick turn here and introduce you to Brita Filter, a larger-than-life personality who's become a wildly popular performer, TV personality, and a social media star. Hattie DeJamal shows us Brita's brand of confidence building that just might help you as well.
I'm Brita Filter. I'm anything but pure, and I'm a New York City drag queen.
An unfiltered and larger-than-life personality helped this queen build a successful career.
I want to be at the top, honey.
She's competed on RuPaul's Drag Race, starred in the reality series Shade, Queens of New York City, even performed next to Katy Perry on Saturday Night Live. Nearly a decade of drag has taught her a thing or two about confidence, so she shares a few of those lessons.
I'm spreading love, and I feel like this is what I was always meant to do.
First up, own who you are.
I'm the one to be.
Brita's onstage persona was inspired by some of music's greatest divas.
There's Patti LaBelle, Jennifer Hudson, Mary J. Blige. Like anyone who sings with soul inside of them, I connect with them on a different level.
She channels their energy in every performance. Energy that comes from the inside.
Sometimes I'm afraid and I'm scared, but when I put on Brita, it just reminds me that I've had it inside of me this entire time. Sometimes we just need a little reminding, and that's what a pair of high heels can do and some lashes, mama.
Life comes with its set of challenges. So to keep that confidence spark going, make yourself a priority.
It's so important for me to be centered as a human being, as a man who's underneath this. And there's a lot of hate at times that can come our way.
So it's okay to take an occasional break.
You gotta be okay on the inside before you show this outside glamorous piece to the world. A rest just to make sure that you can get back to that space of clear-headedness and being able to really attack the world gung-ho.
For Brita, putting her best foot forward allows her to use her voice with conviction.
I get in drag not only to look fabulous, but to carry a message.
I use the art and the activism of drag to really get people out there to vote.
She's the national co-chair of Drag Out the Vote, a nonprofit that works with drag performers to get people out to the polls.
You won't ignore a man dressed up like a woman, so I hope that that's what I can do with my drag, is to really just educate and be like, honey, we ain't here to harm no one, baby.
And that's a word from Brita Filter to stand tall and let that confidence shine.
When email first became a thing, it was all about helping us save time and streamline our workday. The problem is modern systems have made it so hard to keep up that it feels like a part-time job. Jackie Denker's looking at the ways to take control of your inbox.
Welcome, you've got mail.
When AOL and other companies started pushing email out to the masses, we never realized the amount of time we would spend each day dealing with it.
I'm seeing anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day in certain roles on email.
Business efficiency expert and Wall Street Journal best-selling author of Come Up for Air, Nick Sonnenberg has a crash course on corralling our email. And it starts with utilizing the RAD method.
There's only 3 things you can do with an email. You can reply to it, archive it, or defer it.
The goal of this method is to achieve what Nick calls Inbox Zero, a way of taking control of our email.
Which essentially just means that you're using your email like an external to-do list that other people can add to.
The RAD method starts with R for reply, which means emails that need immediate responses.
The next step is archiving our emails.
Most people aren't utilizing the archive button.
This gets the email out of your hair without deleting it.
Don't delete anything. You have so much cloud storage nowadays. You just need to archive it. You need to move it out of your inbox.
Nick says with improved search functions on virtually all email platforms, you'll be able to easily find it later.
It's still searchable. So you don't have to spend an extra second thinking, hey, should I archive or delete? Just archive it.
And he's a fan of keyboard shortcuts. For example, hitting E in Outlook will instantly archive it. You'll be surprised how much that 2-second time savings adds up.
If it's 2 seconds in email, if you get 60 emails a day, that's 2 minutes a day, that's 10 minutes a week, that's 40 minutes a month.
Nick's last step in his RAD system is to defer.
It's not relevant to you right now, but there's a certain date in the future you want to be notified about it.
This could be everything from an RSVP to a pre-travel checklist for a future trip.
There's so many different use cases. It could be you have driving directions to some place in a month. You just need it the morning of that event. So snooze it for 30 days.
This feature is built into Outlook and Gmail. Just click on the little clock icon and choose a date. Nick says developing better email habits utilizing the RAD method will dramatically improve your time management skills.
Email is such a commonly used tool that if you don't have a grip on your inbox, you're wasting hours and hours a week.
To learn more time-saving tricks, check out Nick's new book and website at comeupforair.com. Streamlining our inbox and staying on task by putting our email in check.
Still to come on the list, why real estate is a good place to build wealth.
You're saving money while you're making money.
And how the Sprinkle Squad is frosting with love.
I love to bake and I love to give to other people.
Plus, Pink Floyd at 50, a look back at the dark side of the moon.
For the amount of time it spent on the charts, it's an unprecedented album.
All that and more ahead on the list.
We're back, and KG, jumping into the real estate market is kind of like hopping onto a moving roller coaster.
Yes, but for all its ups and downs, if you do it right, it's usually a pretty solid investment.
So we have some street smart advice from a woman who's made a fortune flipping homes.
Fixer-upper, flip or flop, hometown, brother versus brother. There are so many house flipping shows for a reason. Done the right way, it can make you rich.
If I want to go buy $1 million in stocks, I need $1 million. If I want to buy $1 million in real estate, I might only need $250,000 or $300,000 to buy that property. So it's a way to leverage your wealth a lot quicker.
Candy Valentino, author of Wealth Habits, has invested in real estate for 2 decades. Her latest project? 2 multi-million-dollar mansions in Paradise Valley, Arizona. She paid $1.8 million for this one in 2020 and $4.5 million for the one next door in 2022. Not bad for someone who started pretty small.
First property I bought was $23,000 in a foreclosure. Whew. It was money that I had saved to buy a car. If I would have bought that car for $30,000, I probably wouldn't even be worth $3,000 or $4,000 today. But that property that I bought for $23,000 cash flowed rent over and over and over for the last 20 years and is now worth tenfold that same amount.
So you want to invest in real estate, but how do you start?
The easiest hack to get into real estate: buy a duplex, a triplex, or a small quad apartment building. You live in one of the units and then you rent out the others.
Some cities still have decent deals on multi-unit properties. She says living in it for a year may help you qualify for an FHA loan.
Which makes you not only have to put like 3.5% down as opposed to 20 or 25%. And then once you're there for a year, you move out, rinse and repeat, and you put somebody else in the unit that you were living in.
Candy says real estate could give you 3 benefits.
You get property appreciation, you get cash flow from the property, and then you get what everybody wants when they have a business, which is the tax deduction.
She deducts repairs and depreciation.
Property appreciates, you get to write off depreciation, so you're saving money while you're making money. It's a perfect way to build wealth.
Holy cow, this sounds great. I'm in.
Finally, here's Candy's advice if you want to flip properties.
Buy the ugliest house on the street.
Right.
Get on Zillow and Realtor and look at what properties have actually sold for,
so that you can see the square footage price. And when I looked at this house in particular, they had not touched it for almost 30 years.
Time for a facelift. Candy's construction crew completely renoed it. She also tries to live in her flips for 2 years to get another tax break.
It's called a primary residence exclusion, which just saves you a little bit on cap gains when you go to sell the property.
So 2 years ago,
I bought it for 1.8 all in. Did a massive renovation, everything down to the studs. I mean,
it looks like it. Yeah, this is amazing.
Thank you.
Since we shot this interview, it sold for close to $4.4 million. Now she's living in and renovating the bigger house next door. We're building a flipping fortune through real estate.
Friends, it's time to share some stories featuring people doing something good for others. They're your friendly reminder that kindness always wins. All right, first up is a motivational speaker who sparked a wave of support for an unsuspecting musician.
You guys want to buy my mystery balloon for $1?
I don't have a penny on me. Zachary Daranowski has over 14 million TikTok followers, and in a recent video, he stands on a street in Canada ready to gift thousands in cash to anyone who would buy his balloon for $1. Well, he was unsuccessful at first until he ran into David Kamara.
I make music. David Kamara. You can look me up right now on Spotify. I'm on everything.
The clip got more than 17 million views, and on top of getting a $2,000 gift, David got tons of public support. His TikTok account gained tens of thousands of followers, and his music has been listened to hundreds of thousands of times on Spotify.
You're working out here trying to get your music out?
Just know I'm gonna pay it forward, bro. Believe that. Give me a chance, I'm just living my dream. Yeah. Give me a chance, I'm just doing my thing.
Incredible talent. All right, up next are the passionate bakers whipping up smiles for at-risk, foster, and homeless youth.
I love to bake and I love to give to other people. She asked me, do you like to bake?
And I said, I love to bake.
Jamie Lujak and Dana Gannon are behind the Detroit chapter of For Goodness Cakes, a nonprofit where volunteers create delicious treats to celebrate special occasions, including birthdays.
It's about sending a message of worth and just letting somebody know that they matter.
The organization has been around since 2016 and has several chapters across the U.S. Learn more at forgoodnesscakes.org. And everyone sure does deserve to be celebrated, so I do love that. And finally, a nonprofit that works to improve adult literacy in Nashville.
1 in 5 adults test at the lowest levels of literacy. So that's about 155,000 adults in Nashville.
The Nashville Adult Literacy Council works to change those numbers by offering tutoring for adults who need help improving their reading, writing, or English speaking skills.
Very good.
The organization has been around since the 80s and hundreds benefit every year. Learn more at nashvilleliteracy.org.
It's being able to access opportunities you didn't have before.
What a great cause. And those are 3 stories that show kindness wins. Lots more coming up. Stay with us.
If you missed any of today's show or want to rewatch your favorite segment, check out The List Show TV on YouTube, where you can watch anytime. It's your life, it's your list, and it's always there for you on YouTube.
We're back, and today on the playlist, one thing can definitely make you feel old. Things you remember from your childhood reaching major milestones. Hadi Jamal checks out some legendary albums turning 50 this year.
The 1970s were a special time in music. And believe it or not, every classic album from the 1970s has or will turn 50 this decade.
The songwriting was unbelievable, and it was at a time where your standards had to be high.
For George Strombolopoulos, host of Apple Music's Strombo, as he's better known, they're just as fresh now as they were back then.
Every single one of the records that we're talking about today has the kind of song or songs on them that are bona fide smashes. You'll hear them, even if you don't know the band, you know them.
We picked Strombo's brain about 3 highly influential albums from 1973 that are turning the Big 5-0 in 2023. Starting with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
For the amount of time it spent on the charts, it's an unprecedented album. The more you go back to Dark Side of the Moon, the more you hear and experience 4 people who had a relationship with genius at that time.
No album has spent longer on the Billboard charts than Dark Side of the Moon. 15 years.
You were also hearing sounds that you hadn't heard before. And I think that if you have a whole bunch of kids around the world putting Dark Side of the Moon out at the same time, their brains are blown.
The British rocker's best-selling album has a big 50th anniversary box set due for release March 24th. Another album hitting the 50-year milestone is Stevie Wonder's Inner Visions, which Strombo says might be the most important album of 1973. It became an international hit, as evidenced by his performance on VH1's Live in London.
It's an evolution for Stevie. This is the new kind of soul music. We don't have to just sing about love and loss and the church. We're going somewhere else. And I felt like Inner Visions kind of kicked off the decade in that respect musically. It's an incredibly significant album.
Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is Strombo's final choice, noting its progressive significance amid pop success.
It's a pop record that doesn't feel like a simple pop record. I mean, how long is the first song, Funeral for a Friend, like 11 minutes? You know, that's what starts the album. But in that 70s run, you needed the space to be weird, because I actually think that's how you built your relationship with your audience. Everybody could like the single, but your umbilical cord to them is when the artist was really pushing themselves.
We're vibing to those iconic 70s jams on the playlist.
Wow, what a lineup of music classics holding up at 50.
Well, even older than that, the original moon landing. But nothing will make you feel young and spry like a new outfit.
That's right. So which sci-fi entertainment predicted NASA's new look? Last on our list is next.
Welcome back. It's time for what's last on our list. And KG, NASA recently unveiled their new spacesuits.
Yes, they are from a private sector collab with Axiom Space. And, you know, it certainly seems easier to move around in. And by the way, they look really cool.
Yeah, but the video from the Washington Post article shows a loop of this guy doing the I've fallen and I can't get up move. I don't think your alert bracelet's going to help that much on the moon, pal.
Probably not, yeah.
But this got me thinking, which old sci-fi best predicted this new look? You've got Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, but to me, this looks more like someone working on an airport ground crew during COVID.
Oh, I remember those days. But, you know, it's really the Jetsons that got the future incredibly right. PC Magazine says the Jetsons predicted video calling, smartwatches, even their robot maid Rosie sort of predicted the Roomba. And I mean, look at their spacesuits, right? You've got the dome around the head, the backpack, it's all there.
True, but I'm going to break the rules a little bit and say who I think really wins.
Okay.
The Denver Broncos, they look like they could be their Color Rush uniforms.
Oh, yeah, I can see that for sure.
Makes me a little upset that they didn't choose the Detroit Lions color scheme.
Oh, geez, Jimmy. You know, you can't blame NASA, though. When you're strapping yourself to a rocket, you pick the colors of a winning franchise.
KG, that just hurts.
And friends, that's what's last on our list. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Tomorrow on the list, we spring forward.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Hello, sunshine!
With ways to brighten your home.
This, to me, feels like bringing the outside in.
Refresh your wardrobe.
Indigo is super in.
And do some deep cleaning.
Our phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet.
Spring forward with us tomorrow on the list.